Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the That's Awesome podcast, a podcast where we take a look at why Iowa State and the awesome department at Iowa State is truly awesome. And I'm your host, Mark Heron, and today we have a very special guest. Dr. Marie Fiore is with us today, and she's going to be talking a little bit about graduate education and then how that overlies our three programs: apparel, merchandising, and design, event management, and hospitality management. So Dr. Marie Fiore, thank you for coming on to the show.
And thank you, Mark, for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So a little bit about Dr. Marie Fiore. She currently serves as a university professor, associate chair, and the director of graduate education within the awesome department at Iowa State University. She has extensive experience in both academic research, experiential marketing, consumer behavior, aesthetics and branding, mass customization, and crowdsourcing. She received her Bachelor of Science in clothing, textiles, and design from Rutgers University, her Master of Arts in design, housing, and apparel from the University of Minnesota, and her Doctor of Philosophy in design, housing, and apparel from the University of Minnesota. Before her involvement at Iowa State University, Dr. Fiore's past experiences include working as a research assistant and teaching assistant, as well as an instructor at the University of Minnesota, and offering personalized consultation in a number of industries, such as retail, hospitality, and apparel consumption. Do you think I got a majority of that? It seems like you have a lot of experience, Dr. Marie Fiore, and
Yeah.
I just want this episode is exciting to me because we're getting into the nitty gritty of education, and in comparison to our other guests, it's good to take a step back and then look at the educational aspect of it rather than maybe some of the applications. So I'm very excited to touch on a couple of the areas today.
Yeah, Mark, just to correct you, I think I was an instructor at the Minneapolis College of Art and Design.
Okay.
I was a grad assistant at University of Minnesota, though.
Sure. And University of Minnesota is at Twin Cities campus, correct?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Right on the St. Paul campus.
Sure. So about that, tell us a little bit about yourself. What made you want to pursue an interest or position with Iowa State University?
Well, I was as I said, I graduated from the University of Minnesota, and I was working for the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and that was part-time. And at that point, I really didn't know if I wanted to go into a university, because a university professor position is all consuming. It really just sort of engages your entire life. I didn't know if I really wanted to do that, but I was teaching part-time and I was also consulting part-time, and I felt like I just needed something that was a little bit more permanent and I could build towards a future. So this position opened up. There were positions at Ohio State and Iowa State, and those were the two top programs, and I applied for both. And luckily I had an interview at both, and I got the one at Iowa State University. And I was just elated because it was at the time the top program in the US, and still is. It's still considered one of the top programs. And at the time I was moving into a position as a junior faculty with all these heavy hitters in the field. So Gidel Winokur, Jane Farrell Beck, Marilyn Damhorst, Sarah Kadoff, Mary Luttrell. So I had just incredible mentors. And so I think this was like the ideal place for me, because I just had so much opportunity to work with so many great people. And it was close to Minnesota, and I had a relationship up there, and so it allowed me to sort of do that as well. So it was a win-win situation. But I was just so happy to get the position here because it was the top university.
That's amazing. And when did you join, or how long have you been with Awesome?
I started in fall of '89. So
okay.
For 30 years. Yeah.
Sure. So you've had quite a bit of experience seeing Awesome not only establish themselves but also grow. And with that, you've also grown a little bit yourself. So how has your involvement with Awesome grown over the years as you maybe took on different positions or responsibilities?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the big transition was moving to associate chair and then director of graduate education. And that really allowed me to do more administrative work. I was more involved with overseeing the entire graduate program. And it also allowed me to move away from undergraduate teaching and more into graduate teaching. So most of the teaching I do now is at the graduate level. I do miss undergraduate teaching because one of the courses I taught was something that I developed, so I do miss that, but I really do love working with graduate students. I think I'm one of the luckiest people on earth to be able to do that. Because I always say I work with the best and the brightest from around the world. We have graduate students from all over the world coming in, and I get to work with them. So, you know, I'm pretty lucky in that sense.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And also, while here, I moved on to the position of university professor, and that's the highest position that you can get here. And that has really taken me outside the department so that I'm doing more service work within the university. And it included doing things like serving on the committee for selecting the president of Iowa State University. So that was a great opportunity. I also served as chair of the committee that reviewed the provost and the provost office. So it really has allowed me to build not only within AWESHM, but really bring the AWESHM brand outside of the department to the university so that they realize that we are really, you know, a top program, not only in the US, but also at Iowa State.
Absolutely. So you mentioned at the beginning too as well that the transition from undergraduate to graduate, and obviously it's had a profound impact on you, but as well as like the students who get to engage with you and such. And so you currently serve as the director of graduate education, encompassing all three programs, correct?
Yes.
And who is the director of graduate education for all? Isn't there a single one for each one as well?
Right. So I oversee all three. So I oversee basically the operation of all three, but then we have separate directors of graduate education for event management, which is Dr. Eric Olson, and then for hospitality management, that's Dr. So-Jung Lee. So I work with them on a number of different issues, but in terms of a number of things that are relevant to the entire AWESHM department, then I oversee that.
Okay. And are you AMD?
Then IMD, right?
Okay. Okay. So about graduate education, is there a reason, maybe did you have an interest in graduate education coming to Iowa State? Was it a more did it have more of an impact on you going into graduate education and you getting your master's in your Ph.D., or is it something that just kind of happened naturally? So yeah, like how did it come about, I guess?
How did it come about that I
transitioned from undergraduate to graduate?
Oh. Well, I was given the opportunity to be the director of graduate education, and so I took that position on, and at that time I thought, wow, I don't know if I can do this because it's a big responsibility, but I think I've done pretty well. I've won the Margaret Ellen White Award for graduate education. I just did the commencement address for the graduate college graduation in fall, so I think I've done pretty well in terms of serving the graduate students here within AWESHM, and you know, my role in graduate education at Iowa State too, I think is recognized.
Absolutely. And I think you answered the question perfectly, or the question that I had, which was, why is graduate education important, especially within the three areas that AWESHM has? It's plain and simple. You get to work with the brightest minds and the most talented people from across the globe. You're interacting, you're collaborating. It's like a cycle of, you know, positive educational experiences and stuff. So I think that's great, and you nailed it perfectly.
Yeah.
So when I was doing some research and looking back at you know, a couple of items that I wanted to talk with you about, I came across a topic called distance learning, and you talked about how distance learning is one of the most unique aspects of graduate education within Awesome at Iowa State. So what does distance learning mean?
Mhm. Well, many people think about it as distance education, where people are sitting at home in front of a computer and doing work by themselves. But the way that we look at it is it's a hybrid program. And what that means is that the students are at different locations sitting in front of their computers, and then we have students here in class, and everyone joins together at the same time in class. So the on-campus and the hybrid students work together in class. And so it's the same program, same requirements coming in, same courses that you take, same degree requirements when you leave. And we know that this hybrid program is better than a distance program. When you think about just doing it solely on your own,
Mm-hmm.
we know that it has a better reputation among universities if you graduate with a hybrid rather than a distance education degree. And we don't call it a distance education degree. You get the same degree as our on-campus students.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it allows you to have a cohort. So you're not working in isolation, you're working with other students. And what we know is that this really leads to success. So if you look at the graduation rate of those who are in hybrid programs, it's much higher than those that are in distance programs.
Mm-hmm.
So we know it's more effective. We know that you come out with a better product. And not only that, but for the student, they really get to create this cohort that builds that foundation that they need for a successful career once they do graduate. So these are people that you build bonds with, that you do research with, even after graduation. And so it's something that really gives so much more to the student than just a distance education program would, where you're just sitting in isolation in front of a computer.
Mm-hmm. And
Go ahead.
sorry, no, continue.
And AMD has the only hybrid PhD program in our field. There are other master's programs
Mm-hmm.
that are distance, but we're the only one that offers a PhD in this format.
That's great, and it's inspiring to hear, especially since during a time like this, distance learning might be become a new norm within education, and I think a lot of schools and a lot of prospective students are maybe looking at us and saying, like, that's a great opportunity. Maybe I should partake in that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, right now, when you're looking at a lot of people feel like they need an advanced degree. If you look at the number of people that have graduated with a master's between 2000 and 2018, it's doubled.
Mm-hmm.
So many more people feel like they need a master's. And so this is one opportunity for them where they can stay where they are with their families, in their positions, in their current positions, and work on that degree. So it really does give them the opportunity that they're looking for. And many of them, what we find, are in industry right now. And they said, you know what, I've made my money in industry, I've made my mark, and I really want to give back now. And so what you find is that many of them want to go into university teaching or college teaching. And so they need that PhD. And so this program offers them that. They can be where they are, finishing out their careers or doing whatever they're doing, and work on that PhD, so that when they do want to teach in their area, they can do that because they have the degree that they need.
Mm-hmm. And I had I wanted to talk about a little bit about how distance learning, maybe a couple of like stereotypes. I guess you touched on it perfectly, where maybe some people think that distance learning is less rigorous or less involved, but it's actually quite the opposite. It's the same. It's the same rigor, and you collaborate. You are forced to be in those situations where you're treated as an equal, and it's not completely on your own time, and you're held accountable. And I think that's an important thing to look at, especially since maybe a lot of people think that it's not as a prestigious or something like that. They hear distance learning and they automatically assume that it's maybe easier or less involved, and maybe not something that they want to do. But
Right, exactly. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. And that's what we didn't want to do. I mean, if you have the best reputation, you want to make sure that you preserve that when you're moving into a new program. And that's why we said distance education isn't what we're looking for. We're really looking for a hybrid program. because we really want to maintain that quality. And as you intimated, it's students feel not only obligated to finish for themselves, but they feel obligated to their peers because they're now working with peers in doing research or projects, creative designs, that sort of thing. So I think it's that sort of sense of social connection with people that makes this so powerful as well, because that is your support system, that those are your cheerleaders when you're having problems, the people that you go to if you need answers, or some encouragement along with the faculty. So it really builds that sense of community and family that's missing, I think, many times in a distance education program.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to talk about a little bit about how Iowa State, holds a unique position within, academia. You talked about a little bit how the statistic what was the statistic that you gave just a little bit ago about master's students, or how people are going back to receive masters because they feel as if they need that higher education?
Right.
I think what was that statistic?
Between 2000 and 2018, the number of people with master's students has doubled.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that it's clear, obviously, to see I have many friends and peers that are pursuing graduate education. And I didn't think that, maybe it was something for me until recently. I've kind of thought about it a little bit myself. So it's obviously there, and I can see how that statistic is playing out currently. But I wanted to talk about how Iowa State holds a unique position in the sense that we are an academic institution where people come to us to learn. Like you said, they feel like they've made their mark and they want to give back. Iowa State is really one of those places where we stand out to these people that made marks and maybe want to learn from us. So when they want to get back out and give back or teach, we're the leaders in that. We bring them in and we help them fill those leadership positions. So why do you think that is? Why do you think AESHM or Iowa State in general is at the forefront of that mission?
Well, if you look at the kind of people that are coming back for that degree, these are people that are, they're used to being the best. They're best at whatever they do. They've been successful. And so what they're going to do is look for the best programs. And we're one of the best programs. We don't have any official ranking, but if you look at just the level of research that we do at our last International Textiles and Apparel Conference, we had more posters, research presentations and creative designs than any other university there. And we've done that for 10 years running. So we have the best program. So you're going to find that people that are looking for graduate education, these are overachievers, these are people that want to excel, they're going to look for the best, and we're considered the best. And so I think that's why they come to Iowa State.
So another thing that prides Iowa State is the fact that, we're a research institution, and you kind of touched on that about, for an example, ITAA, but there's many other conferences out there where we are showing that we are the best and we're a top program, and that many prospective students or people looking to join graduate education, they give us a fair chance. And I think another thing about Iowa State is the fact that we pride ourselves in our research. And I think that's part of the reason why many people feel interested in the programs that we offer. And I kind of noted that it's like a cyclical process. The more we bring in and help people and educate them, give them the experiences and the leadership that they need, they'll inspire other people to do the same, and it kind of just it reverberates. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Right. So many of our students come from recommendations where they are people that graduated here, go off to other universities, and then they have students who they say, you've really got some potential. You should think about graduate education. And the student will say, well, where do I start? Who is this person? And of course, people are going to say, well, you need to go to Iowa State. And so it's sort of self-feeding. They really want their students to have the best education as they did. And so they recommend them to Iowa State. And it is a great place. Not only do we have, top leading award-winning faculty, but we've got great facilities, everything from functional design facilities to digital textile design and apparel design facilities, body scanners, the works. We have, great labs also, along with great faculty to really help give you that advanced degree that you're looking for.
Absolutely. So about that, what would your advice be to people who are maybe seeking graduate education?
Well, if they're here, if they're already students, what I would say is to them, take advantage of all the opportunities that are available. So not only do you have lots of opportunities to do projects within class, but also you have the opportunity to do independent studies with faculty, or research with other graduate students, or creative designs with other graduate students or faculty. So I would say do those sorts of things. You can get involved with the fashion show. You can get involved with, we have Innovate 1858, which is our retail store. You can get involved with that. And so there's so many opportunities available for you as a graduate student that it's not just what you learn inside class, but all these other activities that are available to you. And just take advantage of whatever you see, whatever opportunities come your way. Get involved with the ITA or Costume Society or whatever other organizations there are in your particular area, that you really need to begin to build that professional experience.
Mm-hmm. How do you believe AESHM is also preparing those students for what lies ahead, the uncertainties, maybe the ups and the downs?
Well, I think one of the things that we do is that we see them as we're preparing future professionals. Mm-hmm. And we give them a lot of responsibility. So many institutions would not give the same level of responsibility that we give here, whereas our graduate students are the ones writing research grants with faculty. They're the ones that are first authors on papers. And so they are really learning through doing what needs to be done, and just the challenges. And we also want them to be involved with service so that they understand, if they're going into academia, that this is your life, that it's not only research and teaching, but it's also service. So along with service, along with that research, we require that Ph.D. students do a teaching practicum, and we encourage students to do more than one. We can't give everyone a teaching assistantship, but we do want all of them to have some sort of teaching experience when they leave here. Mm-hmm. So they're going to realize just what it is to balance, to juggle all three of those balls, because that's what they're going to be doing when they're going off into research institutions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's all I have. Do you have any maybe last minute words of encouragement or advice for students maybe looking at the world around us and maybe thinking graduate education is good and all, but maybe it's not right for me, or I don't know how I'm going to do graduate education, especially with COVID-19 and stuff like that. So what would your response be to that?
There would be no better time to start a graduate program than now, in the sense that a lot of our courses are online, even courses that aren't normally online. So if you're thinking, well, maybe I want to start in a hybrid program and then come to campus, it gives you that opportunity to do that. And if you have any questions, I'm really here to help. My role as Director of Graduate Education is to help students to make sure that they're successful. So they have a champion in me. I'm here to help you throughout the way. And they're not going to find any more dedicated faculty to help them and be their cheerleaders and be on their side and really push them to excel. And so I think they need to think about, why am I doing this? What is this going to get me? And that's something that needs to be considered. I think it's going to open up some opportunities for them for leadership positions within many of their organizations. So it gets them thinking about, what's my next step in my career? And maybe there's different paths that they can take if they did get that graduate degree.
You hit it spot on. It's a matter of just taking that leap and realizing that the best time is now. And I think with the experience and all the dedicated staff, like you were talking about, is more of the reason why they should pursue graduate education within AESHM or at Iowa State University in general. So you hit it spot on.
Yeah, it gives them something else that differentiates them from other people applying for those positions. And so positions are going to be harder to get. And so what's going to make you stand out? I think a combination of experience plus that degree will show that you are able to grow further in that particular organization, and that'll be attractive to a number of organizations.
Absolutely. That's all I have. Dr. Marie Fiore, thank you for coming onto the show and giving us a little bit of insight into graduate education at Iowa State.
Glad to do it. Thanks, Mark. Great questions. I appreciate that.
One last thing. Graduate education, specifically within AMD Event and Hospitality Management, is due soon, correct?
Right. So when you're looking at applications, if you get applications in by February 1st, you have the best chance for assistantships. I think if you apply after that, you still have some opportunities. And I know hospitality management and event management does sort of a rolling application process. So if you get your applications in later in March or whatever, you have the opportunity to still be considered for that coming semester. And for AMD, we start our new cohort, the hybrid cohort, in summer. So it's good if you apply by March 15th.
Okay. So it's coming up, obviously. Just wanted to remind people that for more information about graduate education or AESHM at Iowa State University, you can head over to AESHM, aeshm.hs.iastate.edu. And you can find all the scholarships and the information about deadlines and courses and everything all on our website. So
yeah, and I'm happy to help them too. And my email address is amfiore@iastate.edu.
Perfect. They have all the information. It's just a matter of maybe looking into it. So Dr. Fiore, thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. For more information, you can always follow us on social media, AESHM_ISU. We will see you next week with another episode of That's Awesome, the podcast. Thanks for watching.